Friday in Barcelona. The technical directive is in, but the order is still the same. McLaren have had their day on top, but it is still quite tight up there with Red Bull and the Mercedes drivers looking like they might be nibbling up there as well. Kim Hoefnagel, you are there. You are the first person from GPblog looking at the cars with these front wings and the technical directive in there. It's been a good day for McLaren, but it's not McLaren who you've been speaking with who said it's been one of the best Fridays for a long time.
Yeah, Helmut Marko was in a remarkably good mood today. I visited him after FP2, and the first thing he said to me, he was almost beaming. This was one of the best Fridays we've had in a while. And that's optimism I personally haven't seen with Red Bull in a really long time. So that's positive. He did say, yeah, the new regulations as we stand now, they've not done much in terms of changing the order. The top four has come closer together, but McLaren's still the fastest. So he said that the car is really balanced this weekend, which is something we know hasn't really happened recently. And also what is important to know, the circuit of Barcelona Catalunya is obviously a circuit that we know really well. The teams know really well. They have a lot of data. And that means that normally Red Bull is really struggling to get things done on Friday, but this time they know everything already, so they can just hit the ground running. And as we've seen, it's actually been working. So it's going to be interesting to know that he seems to be having a much more difficult weekend, or at least he will be having a more difficult weekend, said Dr. Helmut Marko, because obviously he had the crash 2 weeks ago in Imola, big damage, and we're in a triple header. That means we don't actually have that many parts for the car. So yeah, Red Bull kind of found themselves in a tough situation. So Yuki is actually running a different car than Max this weekend.
You're speaking to some of the top brass at Red Bull, and I'm very excited to hear about Christian Horner's conversations, because we've had a rare media appearance with Flavio Briatore, and from what you were suggesting to me earlier, it seemed like it got a little bit hilarious pretty quickly.
Yeah, it was complete and utter chaos. This week we had three very interesting men. We had Mario Isola from Pirelli, we had Christian Horner and Flavio Briatore. Yeah, chaos. The mayhem kind of started when Flavio got a question about the future of Mick Schumacher with Alpine. Could he be returning to Formula One in 2026 or 2027? Yeah, that kind of gave Flavio a mental error, because he didn't understand where that question came from. He just didn't want to answer the question. So then Horner said, yeah, but is he joining the team or is he not? Flavio said, I don't want to answer this question. Next. So next up, Christian Horner gets a question. And he gets asked about the second Red Bull seats. Is Hajar ready to make the step? Will he get the chance? What's going to happen? And Christian said, yeah, I think I want to take a page out of Flavio's book and say, I don't want to answer this one. Next question. And then we spoke about the rumor about Christian Horner potentially joining Ferrari as their new team principal. Well, good news for Red Bull fans. Christian Horner's there to stay. He's loyal to his team and he's not planning to go to Ferrari, but you know, it's always an honor to be talked about. But then he said, yeah, my Italian is probably as bad as Flavio's English, so that wouldn't have worked. And I can tell you the entire media center was just laughing the entire time.
You mentioned Christian Horner links to Ferrari, and Ferrari are in this weird situation at the moment because we've had Vasseur having to defend something you don't usually need to defend, and that's a relationship between Hamilton and Riccardo Adami, who's his race engineer.
Yeah, so it's really interesting what's happening there. We asked Lewis about it yesterday in the media session, and Lewis said, yeah, you know, we're going to have our moments, but we're fine. Nothing's going on, and yeah, we're just going to keep working together. So everyone thought, you know, that's it. Until we woke up this morning to a rumor from the Daily Mail, a British newspaper, saying that Ricciardo is actually only staying until they find a replacement. And who is one of the people allegedly being watched for that seat? Bono, his old race engineer from Mercedes. It's a bit, he said, she said, obviously Hamilton's already said everything's fine, he's staying, but we all know in Formula One that doesn't mean anything. I've heard so many times, we're not going to swap those drivers, and the next weekend they were swapped.
Very interesting stuff. Keep your ear to the ground in the paddock all weekend, please, Kim. You've brought us such good information so far. Thank you for everything that you have shared. Qualifying day tomorrow, we'll actually see if this flexi-wing situation is going to shake up the order. We'll catch up with you then to hear how things go after qualifying. Until then, thank you everybody for watching.